Welcome to the Pause Between Us podcast, co-hosted by best friends Natalie
and Sasha. We're lifelong animal lovers and proud pet parents. Between us, we share our lives with
cats Murray and Weaver
and Betty the pug.
So welcome to a new episode. This was an exciting one. We've got a great guest coming up, Rachel from Nose to Trail, so listen up. But before we introduce her, say hello to Sash. Hey, Sash.
Hi, how's everyone doing? Or how are you, Nat?
Yeah, not too
You
bad.
good?
I'm all right. Well, I told you earlier, I hurt my ankle because I fell over on Saturday. So I've got a bruised and swollen ankle. But
bless you. I hope you're not
fine.
in too much pain. Yeah, so
no,
long as
it's
they're
fine.
all right.
The cats are fine. Although we did have a little vet visit just to check on Weaver's back and the medication, which I mentioned last week. But nothing really, no news there. She's doing well. They said that actually she seems fit and healthy otherwise. She is still twinging on her back when they press it. So there's something still there that she needs the gabapentin for. So that's the path going forward for the short term. Well, long term, we don't know. We'll keep an eye on it and keep going back for some checkups and stuff. But yeah, but she's well. She's good. So that's all right.
Well, that's
How's things
good.
with you?
Yeah, not bad. We have had a long weekend for Easter, so that always helps. I took a couple of days off either side of the long weekend to make it even longer. So, yeah, that was good. I needed that. I needed some time out. Yeah, I mean, Betty is well. She is currently sleeping alongside me. So no surprises there. Betty's always asleep. Bless her, now she's older. But we went out to the park today and got some sunshine. So she enjoyed that. We walked very slowly. And in a way, it's good because it's slowing me down on walks as well. And because it's been so lovely, it's just an opportunity to take in the sights and sounds of North London and not be in too much of a hurry. So stop and chat to a few neighbours, which is nice. See a few other dogs living in our community. So stopping and having a little stroke with them, giving them a treat or two. And yeah, just getting to the park and taking it all in, feeling like sort of sunny days are really with us now, which is good. I bumped into a dog walker in the park. And he said, "Oh gosh, I've been waiting 6 months for this sunshine." Because of course he's out all day, every day. He said, "I've been in the wind and the rain the past few months, and it's been awful." So, but then we both agreed that before too long we'd be complaining that it's too hot. So we all love complaining about the weather. No, but we were like making the most of this beautiful sunshine. So yeah, all good. Still progressing with Betty's physio, trying to do that. Although I'm maybe not doing it at home as often as I should be. We're supposed to be doing it three days a week at home, but life's just been so busy. So I'm actually going to do a little bit of physio after this with her. Yeah,
it's tough, isn't it, when you've got a whole other thing going on and lots of stuff in your life? It's hard to kind of even do that for yourself, isn't it? Like do your own physio or do your own health and well-being.
Yeah, I'm trying not to beat myself up because I'm saying, I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
If it's not 3 times a week, so be it. But at least I'm trying.
Yeah.
But yeah, really looking forward to speaking to Rachel shortly, just because I know she's going to touch on separation anxiety, and that's something that Betty's experienced or does experience and that I've talked about on the other podcast. So it'd be good to get her advice on that to see how she tackles it. But just to hear from her generally in her role, I think it's really fascinating what she does.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because it'll be something new for me to learn, because not having a dog and I've always thought animal behaviourists were for dogs more so than cats. And, so I've not really kind of looked into thinking more about my cat in that way. So I'd be interested to hear more about like how they work and what they focus on. So yeah, it's been brilliant that Rachel's agreed to come on.
Indeed. So, yeah, I mean, shall we get cracking with speaking to Rachel? Yeah, because I know that she's got lots to share, and be good to dedicate this podcast really to hearing from Rachel and getting a glimpse into her role and also the experience that she has. So yeah, should we do it?
Yes, do it.
Let's do it.
Hello Hello, everybody. We're here, another edition of Pause Between Us, and we've got a very special guest today. It's very exciting. This is Rachel Rogers. She's a clinical animal behaviourist based in, well, Cheshire, but you can tell exactly if that's right, Rachel. She helps people with difficult behaviours from doggies, such as separation anxiety and reactivity. Won lots of awards in animal behaviouring and dog training, which is excellent. Well done, Rachel. And we connected through TikTok, social media, and I just loved your approach. Thought you were really interesting. You had lots of great ideas. The trails thing was something new to me because I'm not a dog owner. So that was what really drew me in. I was like, what is this about? I've not heard this before as an approach to help with behaviour, but it's amazing. So yeah, we invited you in and thanks for coming along. It's so exciting to have you. So welcome, Rachel.
Thank you. And it's really nice to reach out to people on TikTok as well, because it's not always that social media is the nicest place to be. So it's nice to get some friendly messages rather
It
than
is.
the more usual grumpy ones. Everyone has an opinion, don't they?
Yeah. No, I mean, I found it like I've been on a little while just testing the waters, and I found it such a lovely community of people if you join together over a common interest. But yeah, there are some darker sides to social media, but we found a good one.
We have. We're all about positivity here, or positivity, aren't we? And
Lovely.
you're in a kind, welcoming, supportive space here. So yeah,
Yes.
we can leave the negativity at the door on TikTok. Yeah.
So yeah, Rachel, thank you so much. So I've done a little intro, but it'd be great to hear about you from you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your little fur family.
Yeah, so I am the crazy dog lady now. I have 3.
Wicked.
So I do meet that stereotype. So I have 2 dogs who are kind of working/retired, and then one who is very much just a pet dog. So the oldest one is Maisie. She's a Jack Russell Cross Pug, and she is 15. She's not been very well recent. She is actually in here with me, so she may make an appearance at some point. But she's my little old girl. She's pretty much blind, got no teeth. All of the issues you have with older dogs.
Yeah.
And we just felt every day that we have her as a blessing, really now. But she's a little cutie. But we joke that she's the freeloader because Maisie has never done any work and never been paid for any work, unlike the other 2. So then we have Rico, and Rico is my 11-year-old rescue. We think he's a Coconi. They're a breed not everybody has come across because they are a Greek breed. They don't exist in the Kennel Club in the UK. But he's a little black and tan thing with fluffy ears, and he came from Portugal where he was found under a caravan. So he had a couple of days left and he was going to be put to sleep. So I originally paid to rescue him and get him in the donkey sanctuary to stop him being put to sleep. And then they couldn't find him a home. So he came to me to be rehabbed and never left. I kind of foster failed, and he has been with me 10 and a bit years now. And he was the reason I got into trailing. And he was the reason I set up Nose to Kill. So he was really scared of men when I got him. And so we started doing what they call man trailing. So like hide and seek, find a man, get loads of rewards. And he was just really, really good at it. And then we moved on to pet trailing and lost dog search, which he has actually won all sorts of awards in, including one last year from the BBC for his work reuniting lost dogs with their owners. So he's a very, very special boy, but we'll try not to only talk about him. Then,
that's amazing. Congratulations.
I know. I like very proud dog mum when it comes to Rico, because he's so special. And when you think about where he came from to what he went on to do, it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. He's currently in the conservatory sunbathing. Otherwise, I'm sure he'd join us.
Better things to do.
Loves his Portugal roots and going back to the sunshine. He hates the cold. He loves to be out in the warm. And then I've got Pebbles, and she is a 1-year-old border terrier. And she is currently having her 2nd season and is feeling very sorry for herself, spending most of her time in her dog bed. We keep trying to get her to come and be with us. She doesn't want to be. Pulling the saddest faces and breaking everybody's hearts. The hormones have hit her really hard this time round.
Wow.
She has already, at just over a year old, at the weekend, she passed her proficient pet trail assessment. So she is 1 level away from being a qualified lost dog search dog already. Not that I'm a pushy mum at all. Then the border terrier, not the breed people expect, I don't think, to be going out doing scent work. But her other job, because I like to keep her busy, is she is training to be my gluten detection dog. So I can't eat gluten for health reasons. And so it's very difficult to get gluten-free food. I am very prone to being very sick from even the slightest bit of cross-contamination. So she is being trained. I'm working with the gluten detection trainer, who's a dog trainer over in America. He's amazing, gluten-free dog training. And we do Zoom training, and Pebbles is learning to identify different forms of gluten in food, and indicate to say if it does have gluten or it doesn't have gluten. And she is doing really quite well, which I think she's surprised both me and the trainer with how quickly she's progressing. But
Amazing.
we normally train on a Thursday, and she's being allowed the week off because it is not fair to expect her to work at present when she seems to think the world is ending. So we're letting her rest, bless her. But yeah, they're my three. So they're all very different. They're all very small. Some people seem to think you can't be a dog trainer if you don't have a German Shepherd or a Mallee. But I have all the small dogs, and I'm fine with
Yay.
that.
Do it for the small dogs. That's astonishing. This is what I love. I mean, as people know who've been listening, hopefully, that I'm more of a cat person. I've had dogs through my grandma and, my nana. I don't say grandma, my nana and my granddad. But not really kind of lived or been brought up with dogs. But I love the fact that they can do and support us with so much in our lives, doing rescues. We've got guide. I mean, I've been around guide dogs as part of one of my jobs before, hearing dogs, just all the lovely things. And now all this sort of medical, scientific stuff that can help us with is just amazing. It's just gorgeous to know that we can work together in such a positive way. Love it.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. She's got a little "don't feed me" jacket because as part of her kind of working, she can't eat gluten either. So she's got a little jacket because people always try and feed them treats, don't they, when they're out and about? And unless it's gluten-free, she can't have it. So she's got a little "don't pet me, don't distract me" little jacket that she wears, and she looks so cute. But I think everyone expects Labrador, big dog, to be a proper assistance dog. And so when she's dinky, she is dinky, Peps. People kind of go, what? She comes in, but I mean, she fits nice under tables, and they said their fur, their hand strips. So they're quite a good choice, I think, albeit I'm biased for being an assistance dog because she is small. She keeps out the way and she isn't messy. She's not
and I suppose if you're taking them to public spaces, with food, it's going to be restaurants, isn't it? Particularly.
Yeah.
So if she's small and can kind of not be a distraction to the public, then that's going to be a bonus, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and I don't want a drooly Newfoundland or something, do I? If I'm putting a plate of food under her to go, can you sniff this and check for gluten? No.
Yummy,
I do not want a slobbery dog.
You don't want slaver on top, thank you. So you mentioned actually that it was Rico, wasn't it, the reason that you got into this? I mean, tell us a little bit more what clinical animal behaviourist means.
Yeah. So we're at a really interesting time to be having this conversation, actually. So a clinical animal behaviourist at the minute is not what we class as a protected title. So doctor, dentist, lawyer, if someone pretends they are a doctor, that is an actual crime. You can't just claim you're a doctor. Yeah. However, anybody can claim they are a behaviourist. And that is where I think as a pet owner, there are a lot of problems because people go to Facebook, we go to Google, we put dog behaviourist, dog trainer near me, and you get the good, but you get the bad and the outright ugly as well because there is no kind of regulation within the industry at the minute. So I actually was sent last week, the government are doing a petition on trying, it's a consultation period, I guess, on whether we should become part of the actual kind of vet group or as paraprofessionals where it does become a protected title. And it's a really interesting time. I would love to see regulation in our industry because you've got quote unquote behaviourists at the minute who they are very prevalent on social media with no qualification, no kind of formal training in working with animals, whereas a registered clinical animal behaviourist like myself who sits under what's called the ABTC, because the animal world loves an acronym, the Animal Behaviour Training Council, which is where people should go if they want help with their cat, with their dog, whatever. Those professionals on there are properly, rigorously assessed and have to have a minimum level of knowledge as well as experience to be on there. So you're getting a safe, ethical professional if you go there. And they do dog trainers as well as clinical animal behaviourists. But from the clinical animal behaviour viewpoint, we work only on vet referral, because we know that up to 82% of behaviour problems are caused by, or at least partly caused by, health issues. So some of those are often kind of undiagnosed at the point the dog comes to me, but the vet has to agree to working with me, and I have to get the full medical history of the dog before I can start working with them. And that's really, really important. So if we look at a case that I've got at the minute, he's a lovely dog, golden retriever that I'm working with, but he had bitten a person. What we found when he had his full health check before they came to work with me is he had a broken tooth. It was actually cracked. All the nerve endings were out. He needed surgery to remove that tooth. He was in excruciating pain. Someone went to stroke him, and we all stroke dogs where they actually don't want to be stroked. We stroked them all over the head. And so he bit the hand because he was thinking, do not touch me. That's going to really hurt me.
Yeah.
But they had no idea because we don't open our dogs' mouths and poke around and have a look, do we? So we had no idea. So once that was treated, he was feeling much better. The chances of him biting again significantly decreased. But we've continued to work together for many months to make sure that we build up that relationship and that trust with him again so that he feels safe around people and he doesn't want to grumble and tell them to leave him alone. So behavior, slightly different to training. Training, typically teaching the dog new things, behavior, dealing with problem issues and finding the root cause to the problem. That's my oversimplified way of dealing with it.
Of course. No, I mean, that is so useful and really insightful to kind of hopefully lots of people who are listening, because having that regulated role, I think, will help a lot of people. And you're right, because I, as an inexperienced person in this kind of world, would have Googled animal behaviourist local to me and then maybe just picked anybody. I probably would have gone a little bit into sort of seeing what they'd written about their qualifications, but I wouldn't have known whether somebody was regulated or not. And I probably agree with you that I think that's a really good step forward to make sure that people are getting the right service. And the fact that I didn't know that as well, that it was linked to vet referrals, because like you say, if there is an underlying health condition, that needs to be dealt with first, and that it gets picked up is brilliant as well. And interestingly, Sash, we had a friend who had an incident with a dog and she got bitten. And we don't know whether that was something that was a behavioural kind of reaction to something, or whether, like you say, whether there was actually an underlying illness problem with the dog. That's really insightful for me. It's really new information which I'm sort of learning already, which is just great, Rachel. Thank you.
Yeah. I think for me, it's a big red flag when I see these kind of TikTok videos and things where people are saying, I will quote unquote fix your dog. And when you have a look into their process, at no point does it mention that they will require a vet referral and they will look at the dog's medical history. I work hand in hand with the vet, so any report I write on the dog goes to the vet. If I have any concerns, they go to the vet. I saw even a puppy yesterday, so normal puppy training, because I do training as well, but just went to see a puppy and noticed that his outer toe doesn't ever touch the floor. It hovers up, so the paw pad doesn't touch the floor, the nail's up in the air, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Now, there's no obvious sign that it's causing the pup pain at the minute, but my thoughts are that's going to impact the dog's balance. It's going to impact the way they put their foot down. So over time, are they going to have injuries from overcompensating in how they move? So I just said, look, you're there for further vaccinations in a couple of weeks. Just ask. Just mention it. Show them the pictures. Ask them. And then at least we know with the vet. But yeah, the ones who don't ever mention it, that's a big red flag for me, particularly if they use the kind of aversive methods like prong collars and e-collars, because if a dog is barking, lunging, snarling because actually they've got arthritis and they're in pain every single day, to me it's completely unethical to put an aversive tool on that dog to stop it when all it's trying to do is communicate and protect itself. So we do need that regulation for the dogs, for all the animals, really, for their safety. And also as a pet owner, as a guardian, you're looking for help. You're trying to do right by your dog. But if you chose someone who actually made it worse, you'd feel terrible, wouldn't you? You'd feel absolutely awful.
Yeah. I was just thinking that because we, as pet owners, we want to do the right thing, but actually you could cause so much damage without realising, because you're choosing the wrong person with the lack of experience, who don't really people that don't really know what they're doing, and then you just make matters so much worse. And I don't know if you see pets where that's happened, so a dog that's come to you that's been to a different trainer, and actually that other trainer has caused so many more problems, and you've got to then try and work with that and unravel that. Do you see that quite a bit, where people come to you and quite exasperated, feeling that there's they're really desperate to get some help?
Yeah, And it's really, people have limited funds, don't they? And I think we're at a
Yeah.
time now where more than ever, people are feeling the pinch. And so I really feel for people, and people reach out to me on social media all the time. I've spent thousands of pounds with X trainer. You're my last hope. Can you help for free? And I really struggle with that because I want to help the dogs, but equally is my paid job. But it's really hard because I want to help the dog. So we made the decision a few years ago, actually, myself and the girls who work for me as a team, that rather than doing pro bono work for general public, our free work we do for our local kennels. So we have a Romanian rescue kennels that is, a stone's throw from where we are. And we go there. So we do free sessions for the staff. They're part of our membership. We support them. And then any work that we do with them, any additional work, we offer exceptionally discounted for them. We basically cover the staff's travel costs, and that's how we do it, because it's so hard. And it's also unfair on our paid clients if we then do free behavior consults for someone because they've reached out in desperation on social media. But we need to prevent us getting to that stage in the first place, and people able to be signposted to appropriate support. In my membership, we do have because a lot of people are local, so I am kind of Cheshire, Shropshire area, and they kind of chat amongst themselves. And I think it is actually quite nice for them to have the peer support. But actually, if you've got a dog with a health issue, you need a proper behaviourist who is going to work alongside your vet, because a sausage dog with a spinal issue being put on a prom collar and paraded around the local park is not the right approach for a dog, and then they end up not leaving the house, being shut down and really struggling. So
Breaks my heart.
it's horrible, and I do get frustrated, and you have to keep it in and not have keyboard wars with other local trainers, because that then doesn't look professional. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard at times.
So hard. Because for me, there's so much emotion attached with animals. Like I make me so extremely upset and also extremely angry, and I really struggle to manage that sometimes, and I have to kind of like fingers in the ears. I'm so kind of like affected by the good and the bad of animals. It's so extreme, and if I was in your like profession, it would be really difficult for me to ignore so much. But you've got to for your own sake, haven't you? Your own sanity.
Yeah, I think compassion fatigue is huge in our industry. My way of dealing with it is I wild swim. Like, I do long open water swims, because if I know I've got a 5 or a 10K swim to do, I can't be thinking about the dogs. Whereas at home, I can't just sit and watch TV. My other half thinks I'm crackers, but I can't. There's always something more I can be doing, another bit of work I can be doing. And I think if you're not self-employed, you've got a normal 9 to 5 job where nothing catastrophic is going to happen overnight, you can switch off from it. But there are cases, I have a case at the minute where I'm genuinely really worried about the welfare of the dog. And we were out for dinner, like Easter holidays, got my stepson, my partner, we'll go out for a nice pub meal. And I could not switch off from it.
Oh, bless you.
All I can think about is like, that dog is in pain. That dog needs to see the vet. That dog, we need to get this sorted. And there's nothing I can do at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night. There is nothing, but it's all I can think about. And so I do, like, I lose sleep over people's dogs. Some dogs I've never even met. It's really hard.
I mean, Sash, you've got this same thing, haven't you? You're always on the go and always thinking about your pets and what you can do more as well, aren't you?
I am, yeah. So what you're describing sounds very similar to me. I struggle to sit still, and I do a lot of work with animal charities. So do some volunteering with dogs on the streets, and the Cinnamon Trust, so some volunteer dog walking. And yeah, I also want to help every single dog I meet, but I know that that's not possible. If I had a bigger place, so I lived in the countryside and had a big cottage or a farm, I'm sure I would be adopting many more dogs. But in the city, it's quite tricky. But yeah, it is hard, isn't it? And I struggle to switch off sometimes, but I think it's also about some of the small steps that you can take. And I think what you talked about around raising awareness of how to find a well-trained, well-informed clinical animal behaviourist or a trainer that has the right qualifications is a good step, because not everyone knows like what to look for. So I think just educating people, raising awareness is also helping in other ways. Even though you can't help that pet directly, maybe you could, through your TikTok account or whatever you're doing, help others learn a bit more about what to look for, who to find, the skills and the qualifications. And I suppose that's one small way of contributing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel you, definitely. I'm someone who puts the TV on to try and switch off, and I usually fall asleep, but then I'm always like checking my phone thinking, oh, I wonder how so-and-so is, or what are they up to, or are they okay?
And since we've started this, I can't stop. I'm just like on it, wanting to try and find great guests and get loads more information out there to more people. It's my whole life is ramped up since doing this. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it. Rachel, you talked about obviously some of the little things you do. It'd be great to learn a little bit more about some of the behaviours you come across. Like, what are some of the common things you're working on most days?
Yeah, so they're pretty much a 50-50 split at the minute.
Okay.
Because I spend a lot of time focused on what people tend to call separation anxiety, I see a lot of separation related cases. But the other half in our local area tend to be what people deem as reactivity. So barking, lunging, snarling at the end of the lead, whether that's towards dogs or whether it's towards people. They tend to be the most common things that people come to me with. We do get others, I do see dogs for repetitive behaviours, so tail chasing and light chasing and stuff like that. But they tend to, fortunately, be kind of few and far in between getting cases like that. Do get quite a lot of resource guarding issues, so dogs protecting things in the house. But again, that quite often is tied to a dog who's then also unhappy outside of the house. So then they're reactive as well. So they tend to go with those. So I spend a lot of time doing the trailing, hence it's nose to trail.
Yes.
Because it's scent work that really helps the behavioural recovery of dogs, regardless of what their behaviour issue is.
Amazing.
But then when I am on a computer, not normally doing this, I am normally doing separation cases because I tend to do those virtually. So I have clients all across the UK and abroad when we look at separation cases.
It's so interesting. So like, so what does that usually tell you about the dogs then? Like, is it like a learned behaviour? I suppose it could be many things you talked about. It could be health issues. So is it a case of trying to just sort of work out what's going on deep down before putting in place any kind of mechanism or sort of retraining?
Yeah, absolutely that. And I think that's what sometimes surprises people, because what you see on the TV programs with dog trainers is someone turns up and they are proactively doing training with treats or whatever instantly.
Yeah.
Where from a behaviourist viewpoint, most of my initial consults are done virtually. And that is irrelevant as to the client's location. They could literally be around the corner from me. I will still do it online. So the first session tends to be an hour and a half, 2 hours of really deep diving into the dog's history, both medical and behavioural, to find out exactly, like you said, what has caused this? Why is the dog doing it? And we need to know that to make sure that the actual training that we put in place is appropriate. So if we look at the reactive dogs, so the barking, lunging, snarling ones, they may be dogs that are in pain. So they're doing distance increasing behaviours to say, leave me alone because your interaction with me could hurt. But it could be that that is learned because they've had a bad experience. It could be that they never had an experience. So, as a puppy, they just weren't appropriate or wrongly socialized. And so now they don't behave in the right way out and about. But it can also be the opposite. They've been over-socialized, sent to doggy daycare, and their expectation in life is I run around off lead playing with other dogs. So it can look very similar to a layperson, and I mean that with the greatest respect. I don't mean that in like a, how can you not tell the difference? To most people, it's a barking, lunging dog at the end of the lead. It looks nasty. But actually, if we look at the fact, some of those are fear or anxiety driven and some of those are frustration driven, how I then implement the training is going to be totally different. Because if a dog's frustration is, I want to go and play with the other dogs, me telling it, dog equals nice thing and have cheese isn't going to help because they already know dogs are nice things. That's why they want to get at them. They want to go and play. So what training we then do is very different. And it's the same with the separation side as well. Everyone Googles separation anxiety when they mean my dog can't be left home alone. But we have loads of different types of reasons dogs can't be left home alone. And a lot of those at the minute are frustration based because COVID hit, we all worked from home. The dog's expectation is someone's always there. And so when someone's not, I'm annoyed by that. They're not actually fearful or anxious. They can be frustrated. So then it's a different way again in terms of what training we do. So that initial session, while some people don't really understand, or they call us an armchair behaviourist because we're not proactively doing something with the dog, to me it is really important because it means that I do the right training from the beginning. I understand what's going on with the pet.
I love all this because I've got a psychology degree, and I mean, look, it's been years ago, but that human behaviour and just understanding why people do something, why people feel the way they feel, and it's just so fascinating to me. And like you're saying, you know, distance learning, counselling can happen at a distance, and it's the same with humans. You can still glean and learn and build a relationship with somebody from a distance. I mean, we're doing this now, and I feel like I know you really well, and we've been, so I can understand why you can get a lot from just talking to somebody from, you know, through a Zoom call or whatever, and learn more about their animal. I think that's just so fun. I love that approach. This is also new to me, as you know, coming kind of to this clinical animal behaviourist world actually. And I'm just loving what you're telling me. It's sort of lighting up all these things inside that I just think is just perfect. And you're approaching it in such a gorgeous way that's sort of really kind of, I don't know, I'm just finding it really interesting. It's just so approachable and so warm, and you can tell you really care. And I just think that's great. And you're obviously very knowledgeable. So I'm loving this. I mean, Sasha, you wanted to speak about Betty's separation because that was something that you were experiencing. Do you want to come in on that?
Yeah. And just to say, though, I agree with everything you've just said. I've learned a lot just in this short conversation. And I think what's interesting is the point you made around with separation anxiety, when dogs get used to you being around, actually, they're not feeling sadness when you're no longer around. They're feeling frustration. That's new to me because I have this fear that if I leave Betty, she's going to be really unhappy because I know that she barks at the door and she howls. And the howling always sounds a little bit like, I don't know, just really sad. So with my case, I've had Betty for 10 years. We've spent a lot of time together anyway. But during the pandemic, we spent every day, every hour together. And things did change after that because we could leave her before. Now we can't leave her at all. And I also recognise that there's part of me that doesn't want to leave her because I feel this sense of sort of guilt or this fear myself that if I leave her, something bad's going to happen. So I've been trying to work on me as well as her. But she's nearly 12. Her physical health isn't too good, which I've talked about on another podcast. So there are other things at play as well. But it's got to a point now we can't really go anywhere, adapted our lives so that if we do go somewhere, Betty comes with us. Even if we have family or friends around to sit with her, she doesn't like that either. She still goes to the door and barks and howls. And so I've developed this deep attachment with Betty. And I know that part of it is me and how I feel rather than how she's feeling. But yeah, that's it's just interesting to say you've got a pug crossed with a Jack Russell. So I don't know whether it's a pug thing that I'm describing and you've seen it with yours, or, you know, pugs love to just be with you.
Yeah, it is really interesting because there are breeds that are predisposed, definitely. From a genetics viewpoint, it's fascinating. You know, if we look, like, I see primarily cockapoos, poodle crosses, and sausage dogs for separation cases. But if we look at kind of actual scientific research that's been done on it, the one study that I always remember is it was golden retrievers were their most common breed for separation issues. And I thought that's so weird because in 12 years, I've never, touch wood, never had a golden retriever for a separation case. So I thought, oh, that's really odd. But then when you look at what breeds they included, they only actually had about 7 breeds in the study. They didn't, cockapoos were not a massive popular breed back then. Pugs were not included. Dachshunds were not included in the study. So what we see in practice versus what we have actual scientific literature on are not always the same, sadly. But it's interesting, Sasha, a few of the things you said, kind of age does play a role. You do then, dogs who start to show perhaps early signs of cognitive decline, they can then also have separation issues. So when I get an old client coming for a separation case, that's one of the variables that I want to rule out is, are there any other issues going on? And you said there's health issues, so that may well play into it. But then also the learning history and the lifestyle of you were there. So we do have that potential aspect of my expectation is you should be around. And when I want you around, I need. But we do, one of the classes of kind of separation issues that we see, and yours might fall into this based on what you said, Sasha, is hyperattachment. So when a dog is really strongly bonded to one individual, and that is, I hate to break it to you, one of the hardest from a separation view, because if you have a dog who's actually got what I would call fear of isolation, so just absolutely petrified if they are on their own, that is easier to work through, because while we do the training, if you need to leave the dog, so long as you leave them with someone, they're fine. So like if we look at my dogs, actually they don't, but Maisie, the pug cross that you mentioned, Maisie loves anyone. She will sit on any stranger's knee. She will find with anyone, be it a dog, be it a person. Like she's not picky. She's like, oh, you're here to love me. Fantastic. So if I went out and my other half and his son are here, Maisie doesn't even notice. She doesn't bat an eyelid. She does not care. There's still people in the house. It's great. So very different, Sasha, to what you're saying about your girl who barks even if there are friends in the house. And that's where the difference in terms of training approach and the difficulty in getting a dog over that separation issue varies, because you have less dog mum guilt if you can send your dog to daycare, have a dog sitter, have a family member round while you go off and have date night. If you go out and have date night and your dog is barking and is not happy the whole time you're out, you can't enjoy going out on date night because you feel guilty about what's going on at home. And then that's where there is, no separation cases are the same. No behavior problems are ever the same, but it is harder if you know that your dog isn't happy regardless. So yeah, I really feel for you. It's not easy. And I think that is in part why I like separation cases, because when we work through them and the dog gets happier at being left, it isn't just the dog's welfare that improves. There's a huge human benefit as well. And with some of my clients, it's almost like they've got their life back. They could go and do things. They're able to go to the gym, go out to work and not feel guilty. And so it does, for me, I love it, but not all behaviourists and not all trainers will touch separation issues because they are very different to the vast majority of dog training problems.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you. I think you're right. It's part dog, part human, and it must be so rewarding when you see a case that is quite complex, but you're able to kind of make a difference to the pet and the owner's lives. So
it's also a little bit awkward when someone comes to me adamant that their dog does have true hyper-attachment issues, and then I do a video of the dog and send them out the house. The dog doesn't give two hoots. And I really awkward conversation with the person that it's the person with the attachment issue and the dog.
It doesn't love you that much.
Your dog is fine, I promise you. No, it's not. He's distressed when I leave. No.
Brilliant. Oh,
yeah,
that's so,
counselling skills as well.
So helpful. It's so clear. So, yeah, I suppose to end it on, Rachel, there's such insightful, so clear, knowledgeable information there, really helpful. Hopefully lots of people have been learning a little bit here. I totally have changed my whole view of all of this. And like I think the one thing for me was just like thinking about that underlying health condition and maybe saying to people like, make sure your animal's health is tip top and you go and see a vet if you're ever concerned about anything. But, and I suppose you would echo that, but Rachel, is there any, if anyone wanted any more advice, be it small, be it kind of through your services, where would you suggest people go and what should they do if they are having any problems?
Yeah, I think the key thing is if you notice a change in an animal's behaviour, so we're not talking like a young puppy that just needs to learn something new or a new baby kitten. We're talking an adult dog that suddenly there's a behaviour change. The very first question is why, and go to your vet. Because behaviour doesn't just change out of nowhere. Something has happened. So vet first, check that they're okay. And I know people don't want to hear that at the minute with costs, but if you've got like a vet phone line with your pet insurance, like there's First Vet, I think is linked with a lot of them, use it. Like a lot of us don't realise it's in your policy. Just ring them. Use your free 15-minute consultation. Get peace of mind and check on your pet's health. And then I would strongly recommend just use the ABTC. So if you've got a dog training or a pet training question or a behavior question, don't use Google. Go to the ABTC. You can put in your postcode. You can find someone who's local to you. It doesn't have to be me. I'm always happy to work with people virtually, but so long as you're going and getting a safe, ethical professional, that is the most important thing. And most of us do, free 15-minute discovery calls so you can have a chat, see if you want to work with us. And also just on their social media accounts, so then you're following the right people and getting the right advice. So yeah, just use the ABTC, definitely.
Brilliant. Rachel, one quick question actually. The ABTC, does that cover cats as well?
Yes. Yeah. So some people are only cats. Some people do dogs and cats. It just varies. You can search via species as well.
Okay.
Some people do
Excellent.
parrots. Some people do rabbits. You name it. I typically see dogs. I've only had one cat case. I tend to find people don't want to pay for cats. Like, they don't insure them as often as dogs either. But I do, on the whole, just find people don't want to pay for cat stuff.
I want to change that.
Most of the cat stuff I get is inter-household cats fighting or house soiling issues. And usually it's changing litter trays and positions of litter trays and making sure there's enough litter trays and ruling out whether they've got cystitis and things like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you do get people who want them for cats, definitely.
But it'd be interesting to know, like, how far people would go to look after their cat's health. It does seem that cat support, cat health is behind dogs. And I really want to know why, but also push it, because I want to get way more support and diagnosis and healthcare for my cat. I really think it's lacking at the moment, and I want to do so much more. And I want to understand why people don't do that as much. I wonder if it'll change. That's what
I think it's certainly, if we look at like arthritis and like musculoskeletal issues, cats are so much more agile and do so much more than dogs, but yet we're so behind in terms of identifying lameness in cats.
Right, yeah.
Gait issues in cats. It's sad. It's really sad. It's
sad.
like they're seen as lesser. You know, like that's how I perceive it anyway when I look at clients and stuff. Because like on my forms, I always ask, you know, do you have other pets? And sometimes they won't even mention the cat. And then I go around and I'm like, you've got a cat? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that impacts the dog. There's a relationship there. Like, you will get dogs that resource guard things from cats. You'll get cats that attack the dogs. Like, there's all sorts. And people just say, I've got a cat, goes and goes. And I'm like,
so incidental. I wonder whether, because it feels to me, I don't know if I'm correct on this, but that more and more people are getting indoor cats now, and whether that relationship will start to shift, because as an outdoor cat, I had outdoor cats as a kid. Yeah, they were there, they weren't there, they came and go. I loved it to pieces, but it was way more independent. My current cats are indoor cats. They go out in the garden. But they're with me all the time, and they're a constant reminder of that they love me, they need me, they want things. And I feel like there's a much more of an attachment.
We've got separation issues with cats, but then people will go on holiday and just pay someone to come in once a day to feed them.
Yes.
And it's like, hang on, your cat probably likes companionship. Like, probably wants someone to spend a few hours sat on the sofa with them.
Yeah.
The cats of old, yes, probably didn't care, roaming around the local estate, popping in and out of 10 houses as families. But like now, it is very different. And the other thing I see is if they're not out and they're probably not hunting and doing things that they used to do, from an enrichment viewpoint, a lot of the cats are bored.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be at all surprised in the next kind of 5-10 years if we get more cat aggression cases.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much, Rachel. That has just been so lovely and so useful. Hopefully a lot of other people will think the same. Thanks for coming along. It's been great to connect. If you want to come back, you're welcome.
Thank you, Rachel. I agree. It's been really insightful. It's given me lots to think about. I'm going to have a little poke around on the ABTC website, familiarise myself with that. And just sending your 3 wonderful doggies some love their way of a hug from me.
All stayed sleeping.
Listen to our next episode of Pause Between Us coming next week. In future, we have lots of special guests lined up. And if you want to reach out to us, we're on social media and all the podcast platforms. So we look forward to hearing from you. See you soon.